Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And I'll read the Sanskrit once again. Here we go. Gopya samsprishta sailila angeshu karyo prithak nyasatmana atha bhalasya bijam nyasam akurvata. Translation: the gopis first executed the process of achamana, but drinking a sip of water from the right hand, they purified their bodies and hands with the nyas mantra, and then applied the same mantra upon the body of the child. And so here in the purport, there are some terms, there are some verses that are being used, like Om Namo Anjas Tavangri Avyat and Mano Mammano Mahimans Tava Januni Avyat. And so these are referring to the Anganyasa and Karanyasa. Anga, what is the word Anga mean? Evan? Goranga. Limbs. And so here it's referring to all the limbs. You put them all together, and that refers to the body. And Tava Kara Kamalavare. What does Kara mean? Tava means your karas are like kamalas.
Is it nail?
Your karas are like kamalas.
Your nails are like...
Your hands are like lotuses. Tava kara, tava your kara kamalavare nakam adbhuta shingam. They have these wonderful shingams, wonderful nails. So this is purifying the anga, the body, and purifying the kara, the hands. So the hands are purified and the body is purified, and the hands are used to apply mantras onto the child's body to purify him. And so here they say they use a bij mantra. So they use just like a syllable, and they follow it with the word namaha, namaha, and they apply it into the child. And that namaha is referring to Om Namo Ajas Tavagni Avyat, means, oh Lord, Aja, please protect my angris, my feet. And mam namaha, they apply mam namaha, they apply that. And they say, oh Lord, Mahimans, please protect my knees. And so in this way, the gopis would apply this to the body of Krishna. And so Prabhupada is saying here, by losing Indian culture, Indian householders have forgotten how to execute the Anganyasa and simply busy in sense gratification without any advancement of human civilization. So we all grew up in influenced by the Western culture and philosophy, and the idea in the West is, if something is old, boo, dumb, bad. If something's new, good. Yeah, move this little step ladder. So, for example, if you look at all the movies we grew up with, all these Disney movies, usually it's some stupid old ideology that's holding back the person from their most ideal selves. You know, they're like, Mulan is being told, you can't fight, you're a woman, and they, you know, that old philosophy is thrown aside, and then the real expression of herself is brought out. Old, bad, new, good. And so we have even the underlining philosophy of how we see this world. What happens if you go back far in history? According to modern history, if you go back far enough, if you look in your family tree, you're going to see Uncle Harry. He's going to be swinging on a tree, and he's got, very hairy limbs, and he was married to Grandma Lucy. He's if you go back far enough, there's supposedly there is a monkey swinging on your family tree. You go back even further, there's, you find the black sheep of the family. You go back even further, there's a mouse. You go back even further. Originally, it comes to there was nothing. It all starts off with nothing. Nothing was having. First, there was nothing. But then there was something called the Big Bang. Basically, nothing was. His mother was giving him a hard time. And his mother was saying, do something with yourself. And so he just got frustrated. He just exploded. And he turned, all these rocks went into all directions. And just like every young man, eventually he started to settle down. Those rocks settled down. And then there was this one big rock called Earth that's spinning around. And then on that rock, there are two rocks that meet together. They fall in love with each other, and they give birth to a mouse. And then later on, that mouse gives birth to a sheep. Again, we say that's the black sheep of the family. Then going down in the future, then you have Uncle Harry, Grandma Lucy. You have these monkeys swinging our family tree. And then you find us. You just have to go back in your family album. If you go back far enough, you'll find all these wonderful facts. So the idea is that if it came from the past, it is probably less intelligent. That's the basic philosophy of evolution. That if you go back further, it's less developed, it's less intelligent. And if you go in the future, then we're getting better and we're getting smarter and everything is perfect. And we have lots of fantasies of the future. Maybe in the future, we will stop disease. Maybe in the future, we will stop death. And we will live enjoying all kinds of delights because we have it all figured out. But here Prabhupada is saying that there is some value. We should not just throw away things of the past. Certain things have certain value that may not be immediately apparent through the process of empirical speculation, through the process of scientific evaluation. Like, for example, yesterday we were talking about how the Kshatriya, he keeps his word. He's very honest. He would rather die than break his promises that he's given to people. But if you were to examine the value of honesty on a scientific basis, you wouldn't find any value to it. The empirical science is not going to say there's any value to honesty. It is only the consequences of honesty, which you deem to be valuable, can be considered of value. So these are basically two different opposing systems of morality. And they're not opposing that they cannot be brought together, but they're different spectrums of a view of morality. So one of them is called consequentialism. Krishnadaya Prabhu, have you ever heard of consequentialism? Okay, so consequentialism is the idea that nothing has merit on its own, but rather whatever the result of whatever actions that you deem to be valuable is considered moral. And we have plenty of examples of consequentialism being glorified and employed in Krishna consciousness. And on the other side, you have deontology. Deontology is the idea that there is a merit within the act itself, and that merit is revealed through some type of divine source, some otherworldly source. And that kind of understanding of morality is also glorified and expressed in our tradition. In fact, there is a verse in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita where it is stated that if you don't use both of these things, then your acts are considered in the mode of ignorance. And so I could pull that up. We'll maybe pull it up later. So I'll give you an example. Prabhupada tells the story of the man running from the Mafia. Who knows the story? I'm sure we got, where is our, he disappeared. I missed, okay. I was gonna have him tell the story, but I don't see him here. So you have the man running from the Mafia, and he asks a Brahmana, he said, please, 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 hide me. I have the Mafia running after me and they're probably gonna kill me. Can you please protect me? Can I hide upstairs in the attic? He said, yes, yes. So he goes up into the attic. He's very quiet. He's hiding up there. Similar thing happened with two sisters, two nuns who were hiding Jewish people in Germany. And they were two nuns, two sisters, not sisters only in the sense of like biological, but sisters in the sense of being like nuns. And they both in different places ran in the same circumstance where they were hiding Jewish folk from the precarious slaughter that was happening by the Nazi army. And so this Brahmana, when the Mafia showed up at his door, they said, we are looking for this man. Is he here? They said, yeah, he's upstairs. So they went upstairs, took him out, killed the guy. Srila Prabhupada said that Brahmana had to see hell due to his lack of concern, that his honesty was meant to be on a lower level than the idea of protecting others. Ahimsa was considered a higher value. For example, you have Artha Sastras and you have the Dharma Sastras, and the Dharma Sastras are considered even higher. Like we read this purport, this quote, that the aggressor, the one who poisons you, the one who steals your land, kidnaps your wife, these can be killed. But the Dharma Sastra said you should be more compassionate to those who are very close to you, that are your family. They're considered even higher. They have a hierarchical understanding that this is a higher principle. So the ahimsa was higher than the satyam, the honesty, making sure not to hurt somebody. You find this, what's this verse in Bhagavad-Gita Chapter 17, another verse, which talks about a kind of a balance of different opposing principles. That is the verse describing the austerities of speech. Anudvegam karam bhakyam satyam prihitam chayat swadaya vyasanam chaiva vanmaya tapuchite. So you have basically 5 things, or 6 things actually. THINKS. You learn from my son's middle school textbook. I have the same principles. It's truthful, it is helpful, it is inspiring, is it necessary, is it kind, and is it sastrically supported? Thinks. You just add the S at the end, because Krishna brings that up, the what is called swadhyaya. If we speak on spiritual matters, we should give some reference, some authority to what we're speaking to. So if you look at that, is truthful, is there you have two basic principles of, is it sensible and is it sensitive? And sometimes you may have to go a little bit more on one side than the other. The guru, because he's taking the role of a teacher, he's not maybe as less sensitive. He may give an instruction that strikes the heart. For example, like we have our wonderful ashramites. Ashramites ki jai. And what is an ashramite? Ashramite is putting them as someone who is putting themselves in the seat of a student, saying, hey, I'm here to learn. I'm happy to learn, and I'm here to learn. And in such a situation, you can have teachers that feel, okay, I can teach this person. I can say something to this person. Now, if that same person were to come to the temple on a Sunday program, Thursday night kirtan, and say Evan, he is looking after the men's ashram. Say he has an ashramite, and he is mixing the dal with his toes. Like, hey, this is really that's getting really wild. I don't even, that's maybe too crazy of an example, but he's doing something that we might not actually normally do at a temple. But if it's a person at the Thursday, I don't know, maybe that's too crazy of an example. But we might not give any instruction because the person's not our student. As Prabhupada says in the purport, he says if someone is not your student, then it's best to avoid instructing them. But when we take the role of an ashramite, we're saying, I'm willing to be, I'm ready to learn something. Therefore, we have we encourage this relationship of having mentors, because not only do we have devotee friends and devotee seniors, but we actually have we're putting ourselves, like the ashramite, we're putting ourselves in a situation where we have somebody that we're willing to hear from, and that person has the green light to be able to say something to us. Otherwise, they may not ever give us an instruction. So the guru, the mentor, they'll have that green light. So they may be little less sensitive and more comfortable in saying a truth that is very cutting to the heart. Maybe it's a little startling. Or if you say, for example, if you see somebody, maybe some kids are playing some game and they're deciding to close their eyes, and they're walking on the roof of one of these tall buildings in New York City, and you see the kid getting close to the edge, and you may scream at him. You may use foul language and not be sensitive whatsoever to give, to help that person realize, wait a minute. I'm about to walk off the building. In another circumstance, we may not be sensible. We might be only sensitive. Say our mother passes away, our family members pass away, and it's the funeral, and we just go around telling people, car, there's a new car now. You got it's like getting a new car. You got rid of the old one. Who wouldn't sign up for a new car? And if we're not invited, perhaps as the role of the minister or teacher, and even that might be overboard for the minister and the teacher, the priest. But at that moment, we probably should not be so sensible and more sensitive. And so instead of speaking things that are maybe truthful, speak things that are more helpful and kind. Anudvegam, not agitating. Karam, anudvegam karam satyam, anudvegam karam bhakyam, satyam priyam. Very kind, very helpful, very sweet. Swadaya priyasanam chaiva vanmaya taparuchate. So you have these two principles, and then so just like in the austerities of speech, you have these two kind of spectrums of morality. And so just to cover again, consequentialism was expressed by the two nuns. One of the nuns actually told, just like the priest in the story, one of the nuns did not lie, and everybody died, or the man died. And similarly, the nun, the situation with the nun, all the Jewish people were hiding, they died, and the nun herself was killed when she told the honest truth to the army that was seeking to find those who were hiding in asylum. And her sister, similarly with her same religious conviction, decided to not tell the truth. And and nobody died. So that's an example of consequentialism gone right. Anybody can think of a consequentialism gone wrong. What's wrong with consequentialism? Evan or Suzanne or Krishna Daya? Any guesses? Consequentialism gone wrong.
Can you hear me okay, Prabhu?
Yes.
In the Buddhist tradition, it says, if an infant can only assimilate milk, the digestive system, the teeth, the stomach cannot digest grains, but you give the infant grain and he chokes, it's your fault. So we want nothing wrong with grains, but we want to consider who we're saying what to, and are they actually able to understand and process it and see that you're actually their benefactor, that there's not just forcing your opinion on them, but you're caring for them, So if there's that quality, with that quality of a relationship, and if you can actually understand with your intelligence, Krishna gives you intelligence, how to express it so that they can actually take it in. It doesn't just bounce off and make them choke.
Thank you, thank you. So I believe this is related to the austerities of speech. And to consequentialism gone wrong. I'll give you an example. But there was a famous religious lady who went to India, and she saw all the thin Indian fellows. They weren't big like the British fellows. The British people are generally a little bit more tall, more stout. And if you go to Bengal, everybody's quite small. And she thought, why don't we slaughter the cows and fatten up these Indians? Isn't that a good consequence? So the idea is consequentialism is there is no axiomatic truth of what is a good consequence. It is often just an opinion. It is often just a personal sentiment. And is it true that we don't know what is the consequence? Like, what if we do A, do we know what is B, C, or D, or E, or F, where it leads to? We're not always so clear. So that is an example of the problems with consequentialism is that it doesn't have a basis on what it holds actual value, because nothing actually has a value in itself. Here, the person was saying honesty has a value, but their honesty wasn't balanced because it went over other values that had greater importance, the importance of ahimsa, protecting somebody. But in consequentialism, nothing in itself has its own value. So deontology is another system, and we spoke about what is the problem with the ontology. Deontology, we gave the example of the Brahmana who was honest. And the problem was it's kind of a closed-minded, not very thoughtful, not very dynamic idea that this scripture, this religion, this book says this is good, therefore I always do this. Not very dynamic, not very thoughtful. But what is good about consequentialism, or deontology, is that it establishes principles that have merit on their own. Not hurting somebody is a principle that has merit on its own. Being an honest person is a principle that has merit on its own. Like, for example, there in the Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, he gives this kind of yogic way of looking at our actions. He says, whether success or failure, just fight. So that's in a sense, not really thinking about how the consequences are going to benefit me. Not very consequentialistic. 1 second. Vishaka, can you get the door? Vishaka? Okay, 1 second. AC guy is here. Let me just open the door. I haven't turned it on yet. Huh? I haven't turned it on yet. So in that part, you see it's very deontological, or it's a kind of yogic way of just looking at our actions, not being attached to the results, not considering how will I, if I gain or I lose, I'm going to do my duty. That's very deontological. And so Jaya 2. What's Jaya 2? Let's see.
Jatayu from the Ramayana.
Jatayu. Oh, okay. I read it wrong. Tell me about Jatayu. How would you relate it?
Yeah, so Jatayu was like there is no hope.
Fighting.
Not very heavy in Ravana, but still, he did his endeavor just to, please Lord Ram.
Even though there was no chance of him winning.
Chance, yeah.
No chance. 1 second. Let me get the door. Okay. It's going to stay open now. No problem. So oftentimes you have like this when was it Abhimanyu who was killed, and they wanted to kill Ashvatthama, and Krishna was saying kill him, and Draupadi then originally it was like yes, kill him, and Arjuna was like I'm gonna kill him, and Bhima was like yeah, kill him, and then Yudhishthira was like don't kill him, and then Draupadi was like yeah, don't kill him, and Krishna was like let's see what you're gonna do, and Krishna actually told him to do something, and Arjuna did not do what Krishna told him, and Krishna was very satisfied. And everybody using some kind of spiritual basis of argument, they used consequentialism. They used it's kind of like in a court case, they'll use the precedents of previous law, and they will examine something through various, well, this law, in this court case, it was like this. Well, in this court case, we handle this situation like that. They're fixing we had no AC, very hot at night. It was, something happened with the compressor. So similarly, in this situation, you find that although they're using some type of spiritual or religious or deontological basis of what is of merit, they do not abandon the idea of examination. Well, what is the higher merit? What about this situation? And so we found that Ashvatthama was not killed. The jewel was removed from his head. He was basically cursed. And Krishna was happy with the choice of Arjuna, which was not what he instructed, but he was pleased with the result, that he used a spiritual basis of his reasoning with a lot of consultation. They're all kind of discussing and stuff like that. And so similarly, we are meant to not just be have our blinders on. It says, I should tell everybody they're meat-eating demons or whatever. Like what did Adi Purusha Prabhu? We could just tell people like the truth. You're just a materialist, or just I don't know. We could just be like one of those soapbox preachers and say, you all been reincarnating for so many lifetimes and you're wasting your life away. Enjoying, the pleasures of the temporary. It's like chewing gum that's already been chewed. We could just yell at people, but if it actually is not digested, then what's the point? So here we see that they used this spiritual basis, but they also did not abandon the employing their intelligence of refined spiritual intelligence, of looking at different, very dynamic principles of different spiritual bases. Like the example of honesty versus ahimsa, the protection of the man from the mafia. So everybody got that? Any questions so far? I think we have just a few. Let's read we have to read the verses because we had so these are all the nyas mantras, the prayers of protection. So I'll read the translation of verses 22 and 23. Shukadeva Goswami informed Maharaj Parikshit that the gopis, following the proper system, protected Krishna, their child, with this mantra. May Aja protect your legs, may Mahiman protect your knees, Yag your thighs, Achyuta your upper part of your waist, Hayagriva your abdomen, may Keshava protect your heart, Isha your chest, the sun god your neck, Vishnu your arms, Urukrama your face, Ishvara your head, may Chakri protect you from the front, may Hari, Gadadhari, the carrier of the club, protect you from the back. May the carrier of the bow, who is known as the enemy of Madhu, and Lord Anjana, the carrier of the sword, protect your two sides. May Lord Urugaya, the carrier of the conch shell, protect you from all corners. May Upendra protect you from above. May Garuda protect you on the ground. May Lord Hadadara, the Supreme Person, protect you on all sides. Purport. Even in the house of the cultivators, who are not very advanced in modern ways of civilization, the ladies used to know how to chant mantras to give protection to the child with the help of cow dung and cow urine. This was a simple and practical way to give the greatest protection from the greatest dangers. People should know how to do this, for this is a part of Vedic civilization. Indriya, this is the next verse. May Hrishikesha protect your senses, Narayan your life here. May the master of Shwetadeep protect the core of your heart. And may Lord Yageshwara protect your mind. May Lord Prishnigarbha protect your intelligence. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead your soul. While you're playing, may Govinda protect you. And while you're sleeping, may Madhava protect you. May Lord Vaikuntha protect you while you're walking. May Lord Narayan, the husband of Goddess Fortune, protect you while you're sitting. May Lord Yagyabhuk, the fearful enemy of all the planets, protect you while you are enjoying life. Evil witches known as Dakinis, Yatudhanis, Kushmandas are the greatest enemies of the children, and the evil spirits like Bhutas, Pretas, Pishachas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, and Vinayakas, as well as witches like Kotara, Revati, Jesta, Putana, and Matrika, are always ready to give trouble to the body, the life air, and the senses, causing loss of memory, madness, and bad dreams. Like the most experienced evil stars, they create great disturbances, especially for children, but one can vanquish them simply by uttering Lord Vishnu's name. For when Lord Vishnu's name resounds, all of them become afraid and go away. There's a nice verse in Bhagavad Gita. Let me see. Time is going, but we'll pull up real quick. Bhagavad Gita Chapter 11. And I think it's towards the end. Something, all of this is rightly done. Do you know who knows this? Yes, I found it. 36. Arjuna. Is meant to chant, to dispel rakshas, pishachas, ghosts, and evil spirits. Stane Hrishikesha Tava Prakritya Jagat Prahishati Anurajate Cha Rakshamsi Bitani Dashodravanti Sarvam Namashanti Tasidha Sangaha. Arjuna said, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although perfected beings offer their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All of this is rightly done. So Prabhupada, in the purport, he quotes, Advaitam achyutam anandamananta rupam adyam purana purusham navayovanam cha vedesha durlabam adurlabam atma bhakto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person, non-dual, infallible, and without beginning. Although he expands in limited forms, and he is still the original, although he is the oldest person. Adyam Purana, he is the Adi Purana Purusham. Purana means old, Adi means original. Purusha, person. Although he's the oldest and original person, he's Navayovanam, he's ever youthful. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord cannot be understood by academic wisdom of the Vedas, but they're always manifested to the pure, unalloyed devotees. While decorating the body with tilak, we give protection to the body by chanting the 12 names of Vishnu. Although Govinda or Vishnu is one, he has different names and forms which to act differently. So there's the acharyas describe that they create this bubble, these mantras, this tilak. It creates a very powerful spiritual, metaphysical bubble to protect the individual. But if one cannot remember these names, so do you remember who knows all the tilak names? Om Keshavaya. This might be something you practiced. Om Keshavaya Namah Narayana. We know all these. But we might not know all the mantras that the gopis are chanting. Does anybody remember everything we just read, all the Sanskrit? So Prabhupada says, but if one cannot remember all the names, at one time, one can simply chant, Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. And always think of Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu Aradhanam Param. This is the highest form of worship. If one remembers Vishnu always, even though one is disturbed by bad elements, one can be protected without doubt. The Ayurveda Shastra recommends Ashodhi Chintayam Vishnu. Even while taking medicine, one should remember Vishnu, because because medicine is not all in all, and Lord Vishnu is the real protector. What is the famous verse, Krishna Daya? One may have good parents, one may have a good doctor, one may have a good boat, but one is not guaranteed safety. Might it be on the Titanic? Good boat. You might have the best of doctor. You can offer millions of dollars, but if it's not your fate to live another 5 minutes, he cannot extend it. An extra second. Actually, in Ayurveda Shastra, here's another point where before we read the last two sentences, the Ayurveda Shastra says that the highest ashodhi, the highest herb or medicine is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's not just in Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's also in Ayurveda. The highest, you have two things in Ayurveda. You your medicine, and your diet. And the highest diet is what you're all waiting for very soon. Sarira Vijaya Prasadam. You have that in Ayurveda. There's a mantra, a verse. We can pull it up for you. The material world is full of danger. Padam padam yat pit padam. Therefore, one must become a Vaishnava and think of Vishnu constantly. This is made easier by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Kirtaniya Sadahari Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam and Krishna Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Bhajet. Om Tat Sat, thanks a lot. Hare Krishna. Any reflections, questions? I think we just have a few. All right. Oh, where's our great reflector? Adipurusha Prabhu. Suzanne, anything to share? Ramashar Prabhu, anything to share? Akiko-san, anything you want to take home today to the beach, Coney Island Beach? What will you be thinking from this morning's class as you're sitting on the beach in Coney Island? Not everybody's always available. Let's see, Akiko-san.
I have a reflection that I'd like to take home or to the beach, everywhere. The higher principle. There's a hierarchy of principles. That's our saving grace. So we don't have to get lost in the conflicting rules. Yeah, Krishna is the highest, devotional service is the highest, and then everything else falls into place if we put Krishna first. Right? Krishna Dadas, is that okay? You put in Krishna first?
I'm trying to see.
Yeah. And do you know all the Tilak mantras? Or only one?
I'm trying to learn all the 24 Achman mantras.
Okay.
So Krishna Daya is saying it would be interesting if consequentialism and deontology meet in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, that is in Bhagavad-Gita Chapter, is it 18 or 17? Let me see. I think it's 17 towards the end. Or 18 actions in the mode of, there is a verse where he says, one second, let's see. Let me put, just have to use the word, you just have to go to either chapter 17 and just type in the word consequence. Okay, maybe it is 17 then. All right, 18. Violence. It has the word violence in it. Okay, it's 1825. Anubanam shayam himsam anapeksha chaparusham mohad avrabyate karma yat tat tamasam uchate. That action which is performed in illusion. I'm going to skip one line without concern of future bondage or violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So Krishna is saying action that does not consider consequentialism is in the mode of ignorance. But there's another element that I did not read, which is the deontological element. He says that action that's performed in illusion in disregard of scriptural injunctions. So that's the deontological side. So both should be there. Otherwise, it's considered in the mode of ignorance. If you're not considering how it affects others, distress, violence, formed in an unconscious state, considered in the mode of ignorance. All right.
And Nityananda Chandra, how do you balance the both? How do you make sure the both principles are in place without going into extremes? What do you need for that?
Well, Prabhupada said the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. He said a non-devotee will do whatever it satisfies them. You know, they'll just do it immediately without any consideration. But a devotee like Arjuna, he thinks thrice, meaning there's a lot of self-reflection. There is, like he says, if you're not sure about something, consult 3 other Vaishnavas. So you have Guru, Sastra, Sangha. You can approach the spiritual master. You can say, hey, spiritual master, I'm thinking of doing this as an offering to Krishna. Do you think this is a good idea? Oh, devotees. Dear mentors. And look in the literature. Oh, is this a good plan of action? And we can take some understanding that, okay, if we get the blessings of the devotees, the Sastra and the Guru, that this is in line with Krishna's desire.
Nice, beautiful. Thank you very much, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu. Very satisfying answer. I'll consult the 3 Vaishnavas next time I face a dilemma. All right, or Vaishnavis. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Grantaraj, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu ki jai, deontology, and what's the other one?
Consequentialism.
Consequentialism ki jai. Hare Krishna.